What's going on, everybody? Gentleman94 here. Welcome back to Ben Builds. This is build day 8 on the 105 Thunderchief here, made by Hobby Boss. And as you can see, we've got a lot of the parts glued on, ready to go. I did do a little work off camera. I painted the front coping here. I painted that flat black, and I also painted brown onto the canvas. I'm not sure if I like that or not, but it'll do for right now. I also put on the head-up display and painted that as well. The landing gear is mostly finished up. The wheels are smoothed out. I do need to add a little bit of extra stuff on the gears today, and so that's what we're going to focus on. I'd also like to build the underwing drop tanks and centerline fuselage drop tank as well. So as we are kind of poking around and we're putting on these different parts and pieces, I want to talk a little bit about the kit itself and kind of our plans for the 105, because there are a couple of issues we need to bring up. So first things, I'm just going to go ahead and cut off these pieces, and I'm going to work on the gear bay doors. I want to go ahead and get the front gear doors on. I'm going to get the wing gear doors on. I want to get the actuators and the struts and oleos. I want to get all those attached on. Any sort of landing lights, anything like that, I want to get all that stuff put on now. So that's what we're going to mostly work on first. Most of these parts are pretty clean, pretty clear. They do require a little bit of work. There are a couple sinkholes in a few of these, so I'm going to work a little bit on that and get these set up looking good. Then glue them down, and we'll move on from there. So let me just talk a little bit about what I think about the kit overall. I have to say, the 105 by Hobby Boss in 1/48 scale is a decent kit. It is very over-engineered. I will flat out say that it is at times frustratingly over-engineered. There's no reason to put all the extra piping and tubing and all that on. We left off all those parts. Also, the Vulcan bay. In order for it to look really, really stellar, you would need to scratch build and add a bunch of parts and pieces in there and detail up that bay. I didn't want to do that, so I just chopped everything from the barrels back, all the receiver and all the mechanisms. I chopped them all out, filled it up with weight to go ahead and keep it on its nose gear. And I think overall it came out really, really well. I can't complain. It looks good. It looks the part. Now, there are some shape inconsistencies with the 105, and I have noticed that a lot of articles speak very highly of some of the replacement resin parts that you can buy for this kit. And when I say a few, I mean a lot. There are tons of stuff for this kit. You can get resin cockpit, you can get a resin ejector seat, you can get a resin wheel bay for the front gear bay door, you can get replacement resin gear bays for the wings and for the nose, you can get a replacement rear tail, you can get anything and everything on this model you can replace with resin. And if you're going to do that, this kit that just costs you anywhere from $50 to $70 is going to triple in what you put into it. A lot of times the landing gears will replace those as well with metal. That's going to cost you probably about $15–20. So after a while, you've added up another extra $130 just in aftermarket parts. It's not really worth putting all that money into the resin replacements. I just want it to look good. I want it to look the part. And it does. If you built this thing completely right out of the box, it would look like a 105. Personally, I don't want to put that much money into a kit. I want to just have fun building it and do what I can without putting extra money into it. That being said, unfortunately, I've broken the rule, and it deals more with the weapon ordnance. I could not help but notice that the weapon options that they give you here in the Hobby Boss kit are more or less inconsistent with what you would find in terms of pictures and photographic evidence. In the kit here, you have two options for what you could put onto the kit in terms of ordnance. Both options have the centerline rack being taken up with a fuel tank. I have not seen any F-105Ds that are flying over North Vietnam or ready to take off on a bombing sortie that have a centerline fuel tank. A lot of times the centerline fuel tanks are on the F-105Fs and Gs, and those are the two-seater Wild Weasel versions, the guys that are flying over target areas taking out SAM sites. I don't really see the F-105Ds having that centerline tank. And even if they do, it's not typical. So I've decided that I want to build a typical F-105. This is what I've decided to do. Just today, I went ahead and purchased a weapon set made by Hasegawa that has US unguided bombs that will work up until about the end of the Vietnam War. These are just regular old bombs. Some of them are low drag bombs, others are the bigger bombs, napalm tanks, unguided rockets, unguided drones as well, missile targets, things like that. This kit has a lot of stuff in it, and depending on where you get it, it ranges anywhere from 15 to 20 bucks. I did manage to find a local hobby shop in Idaho who had one online, so I picked it up. And I don't have it yet, of course, so I just ordered it today, so it's going to be a little while. And I really hated doing it, but I felt very strongly that I want the 105 to look like it would look awaiting a bombing sortie. I wanted it to have that bomb-laden look that the 105s typically have, especially the D versions, which were the predominant bomber versions that we used in Vietnam. So that's kind of where I'm kind of going with this. And I don't like spending extra money on kits after I've already kind of purchased the kit. But what are you going to do? There's not much of an option here, you know. Even the box art, the F-105 box art, shows an F-105 with a centerline rack filled with bombs. And yet they do not give you that option in the instructions. I mean, I suppose if I really wanted to, I could just say, you know, nuts to it and just build it out of the box as is. But it just didn't have the same look to it. It doesn't look nearly as mean and aggressive as the 105s typically look. And that's probably one of the biggest downfalls that I have for this kit. You have to have it. You know, it just annoys me the fact that it doesn't have that. That means I have to wait. I'm going to get as far as I can on this kit today. And then I'm going to go ahead and hold off and wait until I get a hold of those bombs. Because once I get that set, I'm going to have to figure out how to make a weapons rack and hang it on the bottom of the fuselage. I'm going to have to scratch build it. And I don't think it'd be too hard, actually. I'm going to take some styrene sheets. I'll probably record it when I get to this point, but my plan is to take some styrene sheets and to kind of eye it. I may try to get a side profile or something that I can use to go ahead and match up the angle and the shape of that centerline hardpoint, and then I'll make it out of styrene, and then I'll probably sandwich styrene on either side of that so that I build it up so it's a little thicker, and then I'll sand it down, shave it down, smooth it up, and I might need to scribe it. I might need a few panel lines in it. I don't know. I need to do more research on it. But I think that's going to give us a really aggressive looking F-105D. It needs those bombs hanging on the center line. It just does. I mean, I am pleased to say, though, that unlike some companies, namely Hasegawa, this kit does come with options for weapons. You know, it comes with a good assortment of the low drag, I think Mark 82, bombs. Some with extended fuses, some with short fuses. Comes with drop tanks. It comes with the centerline drop tank if you want to build something like that. It does come with AGM bullpup missiles, but it just lacks that punch that the 105D usually has in all of its wartime photos. That, you know, the more typical F-105 loadout. So that's really where this kit kind of drops the ball. It's unfortunate. I remember I built a Hasegawa 148 scale A4B. It was a beautiful kit. You know, had a lot of fun building it. But it didn't come with any weapons or any ejector racks. It came with nothing. All it had were 2 drop tanks. I remember thinking to myself, wow, how come Hasegawa does not give you any sort of bombs or racks that you can hang bombs off of? Why do they not do that? And then it dawned on me, weapons and ordnance, they run the gamut. They can be anywhere from bombs to rockets to missiles to guided bombs to fuel tanks to napalm tanks to ECM jamming pods to Gatling guns to all sorts of things. You can have a huge array of weapons and ordnance hung off the bottom of aircraft. World War II, you're a little more limited. You usually have bombs, drop tanks, napalm, or possibly rockets. Korean War, probably any of those will work too. Vietnam, you have a whole bunch more stuff being introduced. You have low drag bombs, you have snake eye bombs, you have cluster bombs. You know, you have different types of anti-air missiles like Sparrows and Sidewinders. You have anti-surface missiles like Bullpups and Shrikes and all these sort of things. So you have a lot more variation. So I think what the company like Hasegawa is doing is when they make these kits for you, they don't give you any weapons because they know that you're probably going to replace them all anyway. And a hardcore model builder will inevitably replace a lot of the parts that come stock in a kit. And like I said before, I have no problem with a few aftermarket parts here and there, but I really hate spending more money on a kit after I've already purchased it. And this kit at the time when I bought it was probably 55, 60 bucks, something along those lines. And it's a shame that I can't build it exactly the way I want it without putting more money into it. But like I said, 15 bucks shouldn't be that big of a deal. That's as far as I'm going though, everybody. I'm not going to go out and buy a bunch more, photo etched parts. I'm not going to go buy any more decals or any sort of masks. I'm going to work with what I have, and I might even end up using the ejector rack that you get with the 105D for the wing, and I might customize it and somewhat scratch build parts on it so that I can use that underneath the center fuselage. So I might still be able to do that. If not, the weapons kit that I did order from JAC Hobbies in Idaho does come with 2 ejector racks. Building models can be very difficult sometimes, especially when you have something in your mind that you really want to build and you have a certain vision. You want to reproduce that vision, and then the kit you get doesn't even have the parts you need to do that. I think I've rambled on long enough about this. I've completed the landing gears. I've completed the gear bay doors. I have also completed the centerline fuel tank. Been using my standard procedure, which is just going bit by bit, section by section on something like this drop tank, using Tamiya extra thin cement for the locator pins and using plastic welder for the major seams. This is actually working very well. The fit on this is decent. I haven't noticed any real issues here with the fit on these drop tanks. Now, I most likely will not be using the centerline tank. I built it because you never know, but most likely I'm not going to use it. I will be using these wing tanks, and I'm going to use plastic welder to make sure that these seams fit perfectly. So what are we going to do in the meantime? Well, I'm going to build what I can build, do a little work off camera, but we're going to put the 105 on hold until I get a hold of that weapon set. And then at that point, we're going to go ahead and knock this sucker out. I'm hoping that this kit comes with decals because I know some of the bombs will have a little yellow strip around the very front, the very nose. So I'm hoping that it's going to have that with it. If it doesn't, it's going to be difficult. We might have to source some decals or just simply paint it. But until then, we're going to go ahead and complete up these last couple of drop tanks, and I'm going to call it a day. And we're going to wait for those parts to come in. I really hate waiting, guys. I really do. But like I said, I felt very strongly about it, that I wanted this kit to look as cool and as authentic as possible. And in my vision, in order to do that, you need that center ejector rack. You just need it. We're going to go ahead and call it here. I'm going to finish off these last little bits and pieces of the fuselage, and I'm going to finish off the other drop tank off camera. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I may take a little break from the 105, but if I take a break from the 105, I'm hoping to start another kit in the meantime. That's kind of my plan. So we'll see you back here on the next Ben Builds. Thank you so much for watching. Wish me luck, guys.